Let's have a look back in history today to a car project which could have become the world's first supercar, the Auto Union P52. In 1931, Ferdinand Porsche founded his own company, which was a design and engineering office and not a car manufacturer yet. In 1932, right after the new 750 kg formula for Grand Prix racing was published, Porsche started a project to design a Grand Prix race car similar to today's Formula 1. The main innovation of this car concept is the packaging. It was all about placing heavy components as close as possible to the center of gravity and making sure that the fuel tank is right in the middle of the car, so the driving characteristics wouldn't change during a race while the car is burning fuel. You have the cooling in front, then the driver, fuel tank, engine, differential, gearbox, and this is still the package of modern race cars until today. Only the radiators went into side pods. Previously, Porsche worked on supercharged engine at Mercedes, and he was holding a patent for torsion bars, so it's no surprise to find these features in the P52. The basic concept with a supercharged V16 engine was fixed in early 1933, with only 1 year to go until the new regulations kicked in 1934. Although Porsche must have been pretty busy during this time, he secretly started another project to turn this race car concept into a road car. The Auto Union P52. The basic concept stayed exactly the same. It was the same double tube frame, the same crank axle in front and the same swing axle at the back. Also the drivetrain stayed the same. The 4.4-liter supercharged V16 engine delivered 295 horsepower for the first generation of the race car and was detuned to 200 horsepower for the road car. The race car literally got some more bodywork around the wheels, so it's not an open wheeler anymore, but all the rest stayed the same. Even the center seating position of the driver was maintained and there was space for one passenger either side. The passenger seats were slightly behind the driver so the shoulders wouldn't touch and the greenhouse didn't get too wide. So that's something we thought we saw on the McLaren F1 for the first time, but the P52 already had this packaging concept in 1933. There were two concepts of the P52, one coupe and one limousine. The limousine had a slightly longer wheelbase, two additional back seats and two back doors, which made it a proper 5-seater. So for whatever reason this car never made it into production, and the drawings were only found much later in the 1990s. The P52 should have had a curb weight of around 1,750 kg, 200 horsepower and an acceleration from 0 to 100 km per hour in 8.5 seconds. These numbers are pretty good even today and were absolutely beyond anything else in 1934. Let's have a look at the competitors. The strongest competitor might have been the Bugatti Type 57 SC. It had a 3.4-liter supercharged straight 8 with 200 horsepower, accelerated in around 10 seconds to 100 km per hour and a top speed of around 200 km per hour. The weight was 1,500 kg. But this was only a 2-seater which came on the market in 1937, so 3 years after the P52 should have started production, and in 1937 the race car's V16 engine already had a capacity of 6 liters and delivered 520 horsepower, which shows the potential of the P52. The sportiest and fastest car at Auto Union's main competitor Mercedes was the 540K. It had a supercharged 5.4-liter straight 8 with 180 horsepower. Because of a curb weight of 2,550 kg, the acceleration to 100 km per hour was only 16.4 seconds, and it could reach a top speed of 170 km per hour. So compared to this, the P52 was on a completely different level. And the fastest road car that the Auto Union had at the time was the private car of their star driver Bernd Rosemeyer, a Horch 853 Coupe. It had a naturally aspirated 5-liter straight 8 with 120 horsepower, which was enough for 140 km per hour, with a weight of 2,600 kg. It only reached 100 km per hour in around 25 seconds. So, with this in mind, the P52 would have been like from another planet and a perfect example for racing technology transferred to road cars. So what was left of the P52? The team around Porsche that designed the Auto Union race cars, the P52 and the Beetle, was the same team which later designed the Porsche 356 after the war. The first prototype was mid-engined, but due to a lack of parts and capacities right after the war, they used the rear-engined Beetle platform for the production model. And we can find this concept and the design in the 911 until today. The first mid-engined road car was the Bonnet Jet in 1961, so nearly 30 years later, which kicked off the mid-engined boom in the 1960s with cars like the Miura, the Ford GT40 and the Ferrari Dino. Porsche's grandson, Ferdinand Porsche, always had a weak spot for 16 cylinders, charged engines and 400 km per hour throughout his career. His Porsche 917 had a top speed of over 400 and had 16 cylinders at one point. But the conclusion of his career in car engineering was the acquisition of Bugatti and the development of the Veyron, a road-going, supercharged, mid-engined 16-cylinder that could go a little over 400 km per hour and ironically under the name Bugatti, the main competitor of his grandfather's supercar. What a happy end. So I hope you enjoyed this little story, and please let me know if you like the P52 in the comments below.